Well, it's Monday, and you know what that means. It's a new episode of Hot Sauce Takes, where I take you, the viewer, your hottest takes, and get them from community posts you will see on your screen. I do this every weekend, but this week I did it on Monday because the playoffs were on Sunday, so I might do it. I'm probably going to do it on Monday or Tuesday, but it doesn't really matter. And so if you want to be in a potential video, be on the lookout for that community post. And we do this every week. This is episode, 15? So that's kind of crazy. So let's get right into it. Now, the first take comes to us from random commenter, and he says, Michael Jordan would be DeMar DeRozan in the modern NBA. Michael Jordan played in the NBA for 15 years and dominated the whole league. He's dubbed as many as the greatest player of all time. However, many people have speculated for how Michael Jordan would be in the modern NBA. Jordan was in a more physical era, shot more mid-ranges instead of three-pointers. Jordan's lack of a jumper, specifically from three, and the overuse of mid-range have some people thinking that he wouldn't really be that good and be someone like, yes, an all-star in DeMar DeRozan, but not the greatest player of all time. And others think that he would still average 38 points plus. Personally, I think Jordan would dominate and be basically a better Kawhi Leonard, which is a top 2 player in the league, maybe even the best player in the league. With more spacing and ability to improve his three-point shot, with the advanced technology, I think Jordan would dominate as much as the 90s, or maybe even more. Now, with his freakish athleticism, he can easily get around the paint, while before, in the 90s, there was always that big man in the paint, and he still averaged 30 points a game every night, even when teams were averaging 100 points. And now, with the spacing, three-point shot, which, like I said, he might be able to develop, and teams averaging at the worst 110 points a game, I think Jordan would average at least 35 points or maybe even more. And I think he could do that while also locking up their best player. Jordan was so good, and I think he can adapt to this lifestyle in the modern NBA, and I think that he would definitely be better than DeMar DeRozan. No disrespect to DeMar. DeMar is an all-star level player, but I think Jordan would be potentially the best player in the world in the modern NBA. Now, the next take comes to us from Lil NL, and he says, the current Golden State Warriors, fully healthy, are better than the 73-9 team. Over the last decade, it's been super impressive for how the Warriors constructed a dynasty and kept it going for over 5 years. They drafted Curry in 2009, Klay in 2011, and Draymond in 2012. There, they had some playoff upsets, but Curry developed, Klay developed, Dre developed all together while also getting Steve Kerr in their coach. In 2016, Stephen Curry won the unanimous MVP while also breaking the Bulls record of 72 wins and having 73 wins in a season, which was absurd at the time. And on this team, there are players like Steph Curry, of course, Klay Thompson, Harrison Barnes, Draymond Green, Andrew Bogut, with Iggy, Sean Livingston, and Festus Aziles off the bench. This team was not only amazing on paper, but they had perfect chemistry and coaching. They knew that just like pass it to Curry, he's gonna make something special. Pass it to Klay, he's gonna hit a shot. Draymond always made the right play on both ends. There in that season, they ended first on offense with Curry averaging 30 plus points and fifth in defense, which was a really underrated part of this Warriors dynasty. They were always one of the best defensive in the league while also having an amazing offense, and that really led to the success of this team. And now we have today, where the Golden State Warriors just missed the playoffs, even with MVP level Stephen Curry. Fully healthy, they have Stephen Curry, basically a 75% Draymond Green, though he is, I would say, as good defensively, but nowhere near as he was on offense, especially shooting. Klay Thompson, who just came back from an injury that ruined Kobe Bryant and Derrick Rose's injury, an ACL tear and Achilles tear, and that can really damage a person's just being able to shoot and play basketball overall. They have Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre, who they might not resign, Jordan Poole, James Wiseman, Eric Pascal, Kent Bazemore, Damian Lee, and Juan Toscano Anderson. They finished 20th in offense this year and 5th in defense, but this was without Clay. Now, I can't agree with this take. Clay and Draymond aren't as good as before, and I would even say that the 2016 team had more depth. Experience is vital, especially in the playoffs, and the players like Iguodala, Andrew Bogut, Shaun Livingston have a substantial amount of experience, while the current team in Wiggins, Poole, Wiseman, Pascal, they have all barely made the playoffs, though Wiggins made it once. Now, everything clicked for that 2016 team, and they have a legit case as a top 10 team of all time, evident of their 73-9 record. While this current team didn't even make the playoffs. Now, I know that Klay Thompson was not healthy, but I don't think Klay, coming back from 2 significant injuries, can come back as that all-star. I think he's going to be really good and probably lead to the Warriors playoff run again, but I don't think that a 30-year-old, 31-year-old Klay can change everything that much. So I disagree with this take, and I think that 73-9 team was still an amazing team. Now the next take comes to us from Who Is Better, and he says, Luka Doncic is better than Kawhi Leonard. With the Clippers and Mavericks duking it out in the first round, this is giving us a good representation of who is better between the teams and their players. Now, the debate between Luka Doncic and Kawhi Leonard has grown. Luka is so crafty, and there's a reason why he's called Luka Magic, and he's been dominating the whole Clippers defense. But Kawhi has been matching that, averaging 32 points a game on 62% from the field, which is crazy. Both are amazing superstars, but personally, I still have Kawhi over Luka. You can't just ignore that 2019 finals run where he led that Raptors team, basically carried them through the Sixers, the Bucks, the Warriors, and without Kawhi, that probably wasn't even a second round team, and Kawhi was so good in that series on both ends, or before when he won 2 defensive players of the year, won a finals MVP in San Antonio, and was second in MVP behind Stephen Curry one year. Now, one series can't just defy everything in a way you rank players. Just look at the 2011 finals, where Jason Terry technically outmatched LeBron James, and there is no way you can say Terry is better than OBJ. Now, Luka may pass Kawhi in the future, right now and of all time, but with Kawhi's already solid legacy, along with his amazing two-way play, I still got Kawhi Leonard if you're putting him on a ranking. And finally, the last take comes to us from Aiden, and he says, the New Orleans Pelicans are one good coach away from a scary team. After trading Anthony Davis to Los Angeles and drafting Zion Williamson first overall in 2019, the Pelicans have a strong foundation for a rebuild. Pair up Zion with Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jackson Hayes, and a plethora of picks. They have one of the best futures in the NBA. But this management has made some really questionable moves. They traded Drew Holiday, basically their best player, last year for 4 first-round picks and Eric Bledsoe. Now, I understand that they got Eric Bledsoe for salary purposes, and they got those picks, but Bledsoe's been so bad on both ends. He isn't even a good defender anymore. He can barely hit a shot now, and he's just been so awful and doesn't fit alongside their stars. And probably the worst move for them was getting Steven Adams. You need to pair up Zion with a defensive big who can shoot. Adams is not that. Adams has made exactly 1 3-pointer, and based on stats, has been the worst pick and roll defender in the whole NBA. Not just centers, in the whole NBA. But what made it worse was he got a 2-year, $35 million extension. Now, if he just expired the next year, it was just a 1-year rental, that's fine. But locking him up for 2 extra years was such a bad move. They also hired Stan Van Gundy, but that was an absolute disaster. They had coach Alvin Gentry before, and yes, he wasn't the best, but at least he made it to the playoffs a couple times. And this Pelican team's Pelican team really underperformed. Van Gundy is a defensive coach, and with Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe, Steven Adams, all seen at the time as positive defenders, they are 23rd in defense and allowed the 6th most points from all opponents in the whole NBA. That is an atrocious defense, and they just don't fit the modern NBA. Watching Pelicans games this season, they allow so many 3-pointers and even allow a bunch of points in the paint, which that's basically how you lose and you get a losing record. And that's what they basically made. The management needs to make more logical moves, but I do agree with this take. You need a coach to develop the young guys, especially with a team like the Pelicans who have Zion, Brandon Ingram, Zoe, basically in only their 5th season or lower. And you need that coach to guide them through the tough times. And I think that Stan Van Gundy isn't the right coach. Now, who is the coach? Now, I'm not sure about that. Maybe you can go for just off the top of my head, a Mike D'Antoni, a Kenny Atkinson, maybe even a Jason Kidd, one of those guys. Now, I think that this Pelicans team still has a really good foundation, and if they make the correct moves, pair up Zion, Brandon Ingram with the right players, I would personally keep Lonzo, just hit on at least a couple of their draft picks. This team could be really scary in the future. So that being said, that's going to be episode 15 of Hot Sauce Takes. If you like the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll see you all next time.